If you're watching this alone, don't pause, don't rewind, and whatever you do, don't stare at the screen too long. This is the story of a girl who never blinked, and what happened to the people who kept watching her. By the fifth day, fear had settled into my bones like a chronic illness. I moved through school on autopilot, blinking constantly, counting each blink under my breath as if it were a lifeline. 1, 2, 3. Every blink reassured me that I was still human, still separate from whatever she was. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the certainty that something fundamental had already changed. I skipped lunch and went straight to the administration office. If she existed, even in some broken, unnatural way, there had to be a record of her. A name, an enrollment form, something. The secretary smiled politely as I approached the counter, the kind of professional smile that said she was already tired of the day. "I'm looking for a student," I said, keeping my voice steady. "She's in my history class, sits by the window." The secretary typed for a moment, eyes scanning the screen. Her brow furrowed slightly. "Name? I don't know," I admitted. Saying it out loud made it worse. Real people have names. "She has dark hair, quiet, never talks." The typing stopped. The secretary looked up at me, her smile gone. "We don't search by description." I pressed on. "Can you just check the seating chart or the class roster?" She sighed and pulled up the list for my class. Names filled the screen. I leaned forward, scanning them desperately. 23 students, every seat accounted for. There was no extra space, no blank line, no missing entry. The desk by the window, the one she always occupied, wasn't even listed. "That seat was removed from the chart years ago," the secretary said casually. My heart skipped. "Removed?" "There was an incident," she said, lowering her voice. "A long time ago. We don't assign students there anymore." "What kind of incident?" I asked. She hesitated, then shook her head. "It's not something we discuss." I left the office with my hands trembling, a cold knot tightening in my stomach. Years ago, long before I'd ever attended this school, the realization settled heavily over me. She hadn't just appeared. She'd been waiting. That afternoon, I searched the internet obsessively. Old news articles, archived forum posts, anything related to the school. Most of it was boring. Sports wins, fundraiser announcements, alumni spotlights. Then I found a thread buried deep in an abandoned message board. The title was simple: "Has anyone else seen the unblinking girl?" The post was dated 12 years ago. My breath caught as I read through the replies. Different usernames, different years, same description. A girl sitting by the window, perfect posture, wide eyes that never blinked. Students claiming time stopped when they looked at her. Teachers who didn't remember her. Security footage that glitched or corrupted. Every post ended the same way, with the account going inactive shortly after. One comment stood out. "Don't stare too long. She notices that." That night, I couldn't bring myself to sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, blinking rhythmically, afraid that if I stopped even for a second, she'd be there when I opened my eyes. At some point, exhaustion won. My eyelids grew heavy, my blinks slowed. And then, I felt it. The pressure behind my eyes, the familiar crushing weight. I opened them. She was standing at the foot of my bed. Her face was closer than it had ever been before, her eyes filling my entire field of vision. I could see every vein, every imperfection, yet something about her still felt unfinished, like a sketch that had never been completed. She leaned down slowly, her gaze locking onto mine. "You looked for me," her voice whispered inside my head. I blinked, and she was gone. But the imprint of her stare lingered, burned into my vision, reminding me of the truth I could no longer deny. She wasn't a student. She was a consequence. By the time the 6th day began, fear had become routine. I walked the halls like someone already half-possessed, blinking too often, flinching at reflections, listening for footsteps that didn't exist. The thread I'd found online haunted me. Every vanished account, every warning. One pattern stood out clearly now. People who tried to understand her never lasted long. That morning, she appeared again in class. No distortion, no freezing of time, no dramatic shift in the room. She was simply there when I looked up, sitting in the forbidden seat by the window as if it had always belonged to her. No one else noticed. The teacher lectured. Students took notes. The world carried on, blind to the anomalies seated among them. Something was different about her this time. Her skin looked pale in a way that wasn't sickly, but unfinished, like color had been forgotten during creation. Her eyes were wider than ever, stretched to their absolute limit. The lids pulled so tight I couldn't imagine how they hadn't torn. And still, she didn't blink. My vision swam. The pressure behind my eyes spiked sharply, and a wave of dizziness hit me. I gasped, clutching my desk as black spots danced at the edges of my sight. The teacher finally noticed. "You okay?" he asked, irritation laced with concern. I nodded too quickly. I need the nurse." The walk to the nurse's office felt unreal, like moving through a dream where distances stretch and contract unpredictably. The nurse, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes, sat me down on the exam table and began asking routine questions. As she spoke, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The girl was standing in the doorway. The nurse didn't react, didn't even glance her way. She stood perfectly still, head tilted slightly, watching the examination with intense interest. Her eyes flicked briefly to the nurse, then back to me. "Your pulse is racing," nurse said, wrapping the cuff around my arm. "Probably anxiety." She checked my vitals, scribbling notes on a clipboard. As she reached for the stethoscope, the girl took a step forward. No sound, no movement of air. She was suddenly beside the exam table, impossibly close. I tried to speak, tried to warn her. No sound came out. The nurse pressed the stethoscope to my chest, then paused, frowned, adjusted it, tried again. Her brow creased deeper with each attempt. "That's strange," she murmured. My heart slammed against my ribs. "What? I'm not getting a clear reading," she said, moving the stethoscope slightly. Then she froze. Her eyes shifted, not to me, to the girl. The color drained from her face. Slowly, carefully, she lifted the stethoscope and placed it against the girl's chest. Nothing. She pressed harder, moved it, listened again. Still nothing. "No," the nurse whispered. Her hand shook. "That's not possible." The girl leaned in closer, her unblinking eyes never leaving the nurse's face. "Living things make noise," her voice whispered inside my head. "I do not." The nurse staggered back, dropping the stethoscope. "There's no pulse. There's no heartbeat." For the first time, the girl smiled. It was subtle, barely a curve of her lips, but it was wrong in a way that made bile rise in my throat. The nurse blinked hard, shaking her head as if waking from a dream. "What was I just doing?" asked the nurse, confused. The girl was gone. The nurse looked at me again, her expression resetting to professional concern. "You're fine," she said. "Probably just dehydrated. Drink some water and get back to class." I left the office in a daze, my legs barely holding me up. In the hallway mirror, I caught my reflection, and behind it, for just a moment, I saw her standing there, eyes wide, smile gone, watching me with renewed focus. She wasn't observing anymore. She was evaluating.
After the nurse's office, I stopped pretending this could be ignored. Whatever she was, she didn't belong to the rules that governed the rest of us. She didn't breathe, she didn't have a pulse, and worst of all, she didn't blink. That single fact looped endlessly in my mind, growing heavier with every passing hour. Blinking was automatic, unconscious, something you only notice when it's taken away. And and somehow she existed outside of it. I started paying attention to how often people blinked. In the cafeteria, in class, in the hallways. Everyone did it, dozens of times a minute. Quick, thoughtless closures of the eyelids. Proof of life, proof of limitation. I tested myself, staring at my reflection in a bathroom mirror, holding my eyes open as long as I could. 20 seconds, 30. Pain bloomed instantly. Tears streamed down my cheeks. My body forced the blink. It wasn't optional, it was survival. She didn't have that weakness. That afternoon, I noticed something horrifying. Every time I blinked, even briefly, the room felt wrong when my eyes reopened. Not different exactly, off, like objects had shifted slightly while I wasn't looking. Desks just a little closer, hallways a little longer, as if the world was rearranging itself in the fractions of a second my eyes were closed. I tested it, blinked twice in quick succession. The seat by the window was occupied. She hadn't been there a moment before. Now she was, watching me calmly, patiently, as if blinking had given her permission to exist. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Blinking didn't protect me from her, it invited her. My heart pounded violently as I forced my eyes to stay open, ignoring the pain, the dryness, the burning. She didn't move, didn't react. She simply waited, unblinking, as if time meant nothing to her. Around us, students chatted, laughed, complained, unaware that something impossible was sharing their space. A horrifying pattern began to form. Every time I blinked, she got closer. Not always physically. Sometimes it was subtle. A shift in posture, a tilt of the head, her eyes focusing more sharply. Other times, the distance closed unmistakably. A desk away, an aisle away. Once, she was standing right beside my chair when I opened my eyes, her presence so sudden I almost screamed. I stopped blinking as much as possible. The headaches became unbearable. My vision blurred constantly. Blood vessels in my eyes burst, leaving angry red streaks in the whites. Teachers noticed I wasn't okay. Friends asked if I was sick. I lied. I had no way to explain the truth without sounding insane. Late one night, I searched deeper online, digging through academic articles, old psychological studies, anything related to vision and perception. That's when I found it, a half-forgotten paper written by a disgraced neuroscientist decades ago. It discussed the idea that human consciousness resets during a blink, that reality itself might not be continuous, but stitched together in pieces our brains smooth over. At the bottom of the paper, a handwritten note had been scanned in. If something learns to exist between the blinks, it no longer needs to obey our rules. My stomach dropped. She wasn't bound by time or biology or perception. She lived in the spaces we couldn't observe, the micro-moments where reality reassembled itself. Every blink gave her room to move, to change, to get closer. That night, I taped my eyelids open in front of the bathroom mirror, desperation overriding pain. Tears poured down my face as I stared at my reflection, terrified of what might appear behind me if I closed my eyes. Hours passed. My vision doubled. The room warped, and then, slowly, I saw it. Not behind me, inside my reflection. Her eyes, staring back through my own.
I didn't sleep that night, not after what I'd seen in the mirror. I peeled the tape from my eyelids with shaking hands, my eyes screaming in pain as they finally closed and reopened. For a moment, I thought that might be it, that the second I blinked freely again, she'd be standing right there in my room. But the room stayed empty, silent, normal, almost merciful. Almost. I sat on my bed with the lights on, staring at my bedroom door, my window, every dark corner. The house creaked softly as it always did at night, familiar sounds warped by my fear into something threatening. Every blink felt like a gamble. I started timing them, short, controlled, never more than a fraction of a second. Sometime after midnight, I felt it. That pressure behind my eyes returned, slow and deliberate, like someone pressing a thumb into my skull. My gaze drifted toward the window without me meaning to. The curtains were half open, moonlight spilling across the floor. I blinked once. She was there, standing outside the glass. My breath hitched so sharply it hurt. She stood impossibly close, her face inches from the window, pale skin glowing faintly in the moonlight. Her eyes were open wide, unblinking, reflecting my own terrified expression back at me. I couldn't understand how she was standing there. My bedroom was on the second floor. There was nothing beneath the window, no ladder, no tree, just empty air. Her breath fogged the glass. I realized then that she could breathe. She just didn't need to. I backed away slowly, my heels bumping into the bed frame. The glass creaked softly as she leaned closer, her forehead resting against it. A thin crack appeared, spiderwebbing outward from where she touched. The house remained silent. No alarms, no barking dogs, no reaction from the world around us. I wanted to scream. I couldn't. Her mouth moved, forming words I couldn't hear. Instead, her voice slipped directly into my mind, intimate and cold. "You're awake." I shook my head frantically, tears blurring my vision. I blinked without meaning to. She was inside, standing where the window had been. The glass was intact, the curtains unmoved, no sign of entry, yet she stood in my room as if she'd always belonged there. Her presence sucked the warmth from the air, frost blooming along the edges of the mirror and the metal of my bed frame. I stumbled backward, my legs giving out as I collapsed onto the floor. She didn't advance. She didn't need to. She tilted her head, studying me like an insect pinned under glass. "You see me clearly now," she said. I forced my eyes open wider, refusing to blink. The pain was unbearable, but fear drove me on. She smiled faintly, almost approvingly. "Most of them stop blinking too late." Images flooded my mind, faces I didn't recognize, bedrooms, classrooms, bathrooms, people frozen mid-blink, eyes half closed, expressions locked in terror. I understood then what happened to those accounts online, what happened to the seat by the window. She wasn't killing them, she was replacing them. Slowly, she stepped closer, and I felt something tug at my eyes, like invisible hooks pulling at my eyelids from the inside. I screamed then, not with my voice, but with every fiber of my being. And somehow, I blinked. When my eyes reopened, the room was empty. The window was closed, no cracks, no frost, no sign she'd ever been there. But on the glass, etched faintly as if from the inside, was the outline of a hand pressing outward.
I thought understanding her would make things safer. I was wrong. Part 3 is where it gets dangerous.